Hello, my name is Isabella, and I am transgendered. I am apparently in my late 20s. Yay! And I just want to share a little bit about myself. I wrote it down earlier, and now I'm just trying to get it out to vocalize it as part of growing and help myself. So please bear with me, as this is my first video. And I'm probably not the best at this. I'm not good at, FaceTime and Skyping. I don't like talking into the camera. So hopefully I will get better and this will be a great learning experience for me. Alright, well, I used to, growing up, I always wanted to be Lori. And as you remember, I introduced myself as Isabella. And I pulled out this funny book and it said Lori's Secrets, and I had all these sketches from when I was in college and of dresses and things that I had, and I tucked away in my desk behind my calculus book or whatever it might be, accounting, all those fun things you had to take in school. But I stopped referring to myself as Lori Porche for one reason, and it's kind of stupid. I, after college, started working at a restaurant in a kitchen to learn the trade of becoming a chef. And there was a guy that came and worked for us about a year after we had opened the restaurant, and his name was Lori. And I really disliked him. He was kind of a scumbag, and I hate to say that. He was always doing drugs, and he always presented himself poorly, and he didn't work clean, and I just couldn't respect. There's nothing he did that I could respect. And the fact that that was my name, I didn't want to be associated at all with that, if that was Lori. And then a good friend of mine, she said I should go by Isabella. And I liked it. And mainly Bella. And a lot of my friends call me Bella or Bells. And it's kind of suited me, I think, a little bit more. I love it. So that's why I stopped using that, for those of you that may have remember that. What else? I do use Porche still, Isabella Porche, then my current middle name Macbeth, which comes from my great-great-great-grandfather, who moved here from Scotland after rebelling for Prince Charlie, but that's another story. So it's Lori Porche Macbeth now. Transition for me. It's been very rough. And I'm not talking about the drugs and medications the doctors have put me on or the testing. That to me is, I don't have any problems with it, and I think I am doing well on them. I am tired sometimes, and I do feel some effects from it. A little airheady at times, harder to concentrate, but that subsides. And once I get used to the new dosage or what's going on with the medication. But that's, I think, a lot with any medication. If you have the flu or something, you're taking a heavy drug, it says do not operate machinery, and that sort of thing. So it's just, getting over these little humps as we tweak the medication, and that's not an issue for me, really. The issue is more the mental and personal, dealing with family and friends and work, and who have I told and who have I not told, and trying to keep a secret still, and just not being out all the way, and struggling with acceptance when I do tell people. That has been a definite struggle for me. Now, my transition has also not only been hard, but a little weird. As I said, I'm in my late 20s. And this is a time period when most people my age are expected to theoretically have their life figured out, what their career path's going to be, who they are as an individual. Um, they're meeting their special someone and maybe having kids and buying a home and doing all these great things. And for me, I I've made money and I've bought a house and that's fine, but I'm still not really there. I don't know who I am, and I get accused a lot of being like kind of going through a 16-year-old girl's phase with like picking out clothes and just the way I act and things I like. And maybe that's a part of me not having experienced that and gone through that. But I am working on it. Sorry. Got distracted there. I find it hard because I don't know who I am right now. What is my style? What works best with my body, and my body's changing, and where will it stop changing? When will it stop? What will the final outcome be? I don't know yet. And that can be scary and wonderful to think about at the same time. I don't know who I'm attracted to or what I'm attracted to right now. I can see a somewhat draw to men, but I don't trust men. I grew up around them in military boarding school, in the army and things, and spent very close quarters with some pretty alpha type men, and just the way they talk about women and private and stuff, it's kind of hard to then say, well, that's who I want to be with. Someone that objectifies women. And then with women themselves, am I really physically attracted to them? No, I mean, they're beautiful, and I'm jealous of their bodies a lot more than I am, wanting to possess it in a sense. And that sounds bad, but for me, being with a woman is more of connecting on an emotional level and just that security there, that someone you can talk to and open up with, and not as much about the physical. Even though, like I said, I wouldn't mind being as pretty as they are. All these questions kind of plague me. It's kind of fucked up, but I mean, I'm old enough and mature enough to know that I am not mature in who I am and what I'm going to be and what the final outcome is. I am very immature in my gender and transition. I still hide a lot. I keep a lot bottled up, which is why I'm trying to do these entries to open up about myself, to get it out. I really need to stop saying that sounds so bad. I would say I am strong enough to know and to say that I am not strong enough to die in this body. But I am not strong enough to really push through and go out 100% and say, here I am. So I'm really caught in between that. How do I become who I want to be, and get over that hump? I am still very scared about this. Definitely plagues me a good bit. I haven't told my family, most of them. Every time I've tried to open up, I've been pushed aside and, oh, well, it's a phase and all these things, and just they won't, even think to try to accept it. So it's kind of a sense of being rejected. And instead of helping me figure it out, to just play it off. And say, we'll come back to it. And we never get back to it. Remember in 8th grade going to my mom. Maybe it was 7th grade. I was definitely in middle school. And this was right before I decided I wanted to go to military boarding school. I wrote down all these things about cross-dressing and developing a female voice and corsets and all these things that someone would do male-wise to become a female, and things I'd been looking up on the internet since it'd come out. Like the whole Google thing about that time. And my mom got very upset and said she would come back and talk to me again, and she never did. And she totally rejected it. And then later I just said, I have to lock this away. And I did. And I went to the guidance counselor and got the application to boarding school. Filled it out and gave it to my mom at dinner. And I said, Mom, I'm going to military boarding school. That's it. I'm not staying here and going to a private or public school here and living at home. And it upset my mom, but I ended up going. And there it was almost like prison in a sense. A lot of testosterone. There's no girls who are locked away. So it was like you had to pick the biggest guy and fight him the first day, or you'd always be bullied. And I locked more of my inner self away during this time, because one of our first study halls, the boys across the hall got into a fight. They were in my grade. And afterwards, when I was allowed to leave my room, I walked over and I said, hey guys, if you ever want to talk or anything, my door's always open. I'm right here. There's no need to fight. And they both, two guys that hated each other, just started laughing at me. And then they kind of had a bond because, let's pick on him. So I slowly started to get stronger and stronger, and to hide that and push it away. And I got in a lot of fights, and I broke my nose a lot. And I was always more the aggressor, because I learned that the best defense is the good offense. And whenever I felt someone was going to try to hurt me, I would hurt them first. And, I got built up this kind of gravitas that people thought, I was very strong and manly, and I would go in the military, which was a goal. But I was also kind of a class clown. And I was nominated for class clown and best most military at a military school. And how that happens, I don't know. But a couple of the underclassmen would say that I was the coolest guy to hang out with on free time, but when it came time to do a formation or something, I was not the one to screw around, to mess around in front of, because I would very quickly grab you by the neck and slam you to the ground. Discipline and the regiment were core to me. They were very a big part. I partied hard and I worked hard. After graduation, I joined the Army, and I went to college after that summer, and at a military college. And so I was in the Army. I was in the Army. I was getting paid at a sergeant's level, even though I wasn't a sergeant, because I was in ROTC at a military school and on the path as an officer candidate to being commissioned once I completed. During this time at school, I failed a psych eval, and a lot of that had to go back to the fact that I was trans, and I was hiding a lot of things and kept stuff bottled up, and I don't put a lot of value on my own life, but the lives of others. And I was essentially watched out of military school and the military at that time, which really tore me up. I haven't always been the same since. Um, s- uh, but going back to my transition, I always knew, this was a very hard thing for me. Because I always knew I was different, like I've said, and I always playing in my mind wanting to be Xena the Warrior Princess or an Amazonian like Wonder Woman, or if you watch the James Bond movie GoldenEye, there was um, the Xena on a top. The Russian girl that wore the leather and the boots and stuff, and she was a pilot, and um, I would always play her in GoldenEye. That was my character. But all of these things kind of had a strong female center, who was a warrior or in the military or a superhero, and they all went back to honor and duty and loyalty. So hiding the female in me, I expressed still the honor, the duty, and the loyalty in the military with the plan of joining and taking my commission and hopefully qualifying for special operations and being an officer. Because throughout my life, I've developed a ability to hide pain, both emotional and physical. I've been very good at that. Until, well, pain still, I can kind of block it off in my mind and not, yes, it's there, but I kind of cut off the pain receptors in my brain. So I was going to use this to work hard and to make it there, and then hopefully go to war and die in combat, and, for all the world to know, in my family and my country, I was very honorable, and I did what I was called to do, and I gave the ultimate sacrifice. And, they would all admire me as a hero and a man. And in actuality, this was me hiding from who I was and my true fear of transitioning and having to face the fact that I'm really a woman. And, all that was taken away from me. So it's been, God, 8 years that I've been struggling with this, and by this point I would have expected to, if I was still alive and hadn't died in combat, I was hoping to be a captain at this point in Special Forces. I still very drawn to the military, and I still respect them. And if I was given the opportunity to join and transition or be just myself, I would do it without hesitation. I would definitely join, and this time not really to wanting to go to battle and die, but just because I still feel like it's the right thing to do, to serve your country. And I'm not really hiding from who I am anymore. I'm slowly facing it, and hopefully we'll get through it. Let's see. Well, I guess that's all I had to talk about today. Thanks for putting up with me and my notes, and allowing me to speak. I thank you for the opportunity to be here.